The Midland Metro is a light rail tram line in the West Midlands of England operating between Birmingham and Wolverhampton via West Bromwich and Wednesbury. It is owned and promoted by Transport for West Midlands, and operated by National Express Midland Metro, who are a subsidiary of National Express. It opened on the 30th of May 1999, mostly using the former disused Birmingham Snow Hill to Wolverhampton Low Level Line. An extension into Birmingham City Centre was approved in 2012, and is now operational. Various other extensions, including entirely new lines, are currently under construction. History: Birmingham once had an extensive tram network run by Birmingham Corporation Tramways. However, as in most British cities, the network was abandoned, with the last tram running in 1953. 1984 proposals. There had been proposals for a light rail and metro system in Birmingham and a Black Country put forward as early as the 1950s and 1960s, ironically at a time when some of the region's lines and services were beginning to be cut back. However, serious inquiry into the possibility started in 1981 when the West Midlands County Council and the West Midlands Passenger Transport Executive formed a joint planning committee to look at light rail as a means of solving the conurbation's congestion problems. In the summer of 1984 they produced a report entitled Rapid Transit for the West Midlands, which set out ambitious proposals for a £500 million network of 10 light rail routes which would be predominantly street-running, but would include some underground sections in Birmingham City Centre. One of the proposed routes would have used part of the existing line as far as West Bromwich. The scheme suffered from several drawbacks, one being that 3 of the proposed routes, from Birmingham to Sutton Coldfield, Shirley, and Dorridge, would take over existing railways, and would have included the conversion into a tramway of the Cross-City line between Aston and Blake Street, ending direct rail services to Lichfield. The northern section of the North Warwickshire line was also to be converted as far as Shirley Station, leaving a question mark over existing train services to Stratford-upon-Avon. Tram tracks would also run alongside the existing line to Solihull and Dorridge, with local train services ended. The most serious drawback, however, which proved fatal to the scheme, was that the first proposed route of the network, between Five Ways and Castle Bromwich via the city centre, would have involved the demolition of 238 properties. This invoked strong opposition from a local residents. The scheme was spearheaded by Wednesfield Labour councillor Phil Bateman, but was eventually abandoned in late 1985 in the face of public opposition, and the Transport Executive was unable to find a Member of Parliament willing to sponsor an enabling bill. 1988 proposals following the abolition of the West Midlands County Council and establishment of a new passenger transport authority in 1986. A new light rail scheme under the present name Midland Metro was revived with a different set of lines. The first of up to 15 lines was intended to be operating by the end of 1993, and a network of 200 kilometers was planned to be in use by 2000. In February 1988, it was announced that the first route, Line 1, would be between Birmingham and Wolverhampton, using much of the disused trackbed of the former Birmingham Snow Hill to Wolverhampton Low Level Line, a route not included in the 1984 recommended network, partly as at that stage the section between Wednesbury and Bilston was still in use, not closing until 1992. The Wednesbury to Birmingham section had closed back in 1972, and the section between Bilston and Wolverhampton was last used in 1983. A bill to give Centro powers to build the line was deposited in Parliament in November 1988, and became an Act of Parliament a year later, with completion expected by the mid-1990s. A three-line network was initially planned, and powers were also obtained to build two further routes. Firstly, an extension of Line 1 through the city centre to 5 ways, then a second line, Midland Metro Line 2, running to Chelmsley Wood, and then Birmingham Airport. A third line, Line 3, was also proposed, running from Line 1 at Wolverhampton to Walsall, using much of the disused trackbed of the Wolverhampton and Walsall Railway, and then using the Wednesbury to Brierley Hill trackbed of the South Staffordshire Line running southwards to Dudley, intersecting with Line 1 along the route. This would provide a direct link with the new Maryhill shopping centre, which was built between 1984 and 1989. Some 25 years later, Line 2 and Line 3 have not been built. In 1997, Centro accepted that they were unable to get funding for the proposed lines, and therefore adopted a strategy of expanding the system in bite-sized chunks, with the city centre extension of Line 1 as the first priority. The intention was that the first decade of the 21st century would see the completion of the first of these projects. Work on the Birmingham Metro tram extension began in June 2012, launched by Transport Minister Norman Baker. The dig was begun at the junction of Corporation Street and Bull Street, with work to move water pipes and power cables. On Sunday, the 6th of December 2015, trams entered service on the extension to Bull Street. Construction. A contract for the construction and operation of Line 1 was awarded to the Altram Consortium in August 1995, and construction began 3 months later. The targeted completion date of August 1998 was missed by 10 months, leading to compensation being paid by Altram. The estimated construction cost in 1995 was £145 million. Of this, loans and grants from central government accounted for £80 million. The European Regional Development Fund contributed £31 million, while the West Midlands Passenger Transport Authority provided £17.1 million and Altram contributed £11.4 million. Line 1. Line 1, the 12.5-mile Birmingham to Wolverhampton route, was originally opened on the 31st of May 1999, and runs mostly along the trackbed of the former Great Western Railway line between the two cities, which was closed in 1972. Of the 23 tram stops, 11 roughly directly match former railway stations. Originally, the line terminated at Birmingham Snow Hill station, using the space of one of the former rail platforms. However, in 2015-16, the line was extended across Birmingham City Centre to terminate at Birmingham New Street station. At the southern end, the terminus is Grand Central New Street Station tram stop, which allows interchange with the National Rail network at Birmingham New Street Station. It then runs on street through the city centre to Birmingham Snow Hill Station. For that, the line runs northwest, and for the first few miles it runs alongside the Birmingham to Worcester Railway line, before the two diverge. Two stations on this stretch are also tram railway interchange stations. At the northern end, trams leave the railway trackbed at Priestfield to run along Bilston Road to St George Terminus in Bilston Street, Wolverhampton City Centre. St George has no direct interchange with other public transport, but the bus and railway stations can be reached on foot in a few minutes. The original proposal was to run into the former Wolverhampton Low Level station, but this was abandoned, giving the terminus a link to the very centre of Wolverhampton. Service pattern. Mondays to Saturdays, services run at 8-minute intervals during the day, and at 15-minute intervals during the evenings, and on Sundays, trams take 35 minutes to complete their route. Fares. Cash fares are distance related. The scale was originally intended to be broadly comparable with buses, but this proved to be unfinanceable. In January 2013, the adult single fare from Birmingham to Wolverhampton was £2 by bus and £3.60 by tram. Although the tram journey is much quicker even when the bus routes are congestion-free, by 2016 the tram fare had risen to £4. In November 2013, Birmingham City Council indicated plans to introduce a smart card system to improve access, alongside a range of measures including a new tube-style map and electric bus networks. This has now launched and is called the Swift Card. Usage averages about 5 million passengers annually, and this number appears to have reached a plateau. Infrastructure: track, signalling and depot. Line 1 is a standard-gauge double-track tramway. Trams are driven manually under a mix of line-of-sight and signals. Turn-back crossovers along the line, including in the street section, have point indicators. On the trackbed section Birmingham to Priestfield, signals are at Blackleg Level Crossing and Wednesbury Parkway and Metro Centre. The street section has signals at every set of traffic lights, tied into the road signals to allow tram priority. The Metro Centre control room, stabling point and depot is near Wednesbury, Great Western Street tram stop, and occupies land once used as railway sidings. Power: the line is electrified at 750 volts DC using overhead lines. The system was renewed in 2010-11, requiring short-term closures. Stops: the tram stops are unstaffed raised platforms with two open-fronted cantilever shelters equipped with seats, a live digital display of services, closed-circuit television, and an intercom link to Metro Centre. Current extension works. An extension of Line 1 into Birmingham City Centre has been approved, with an extension through Wolverhampton City Centre proposed. Phase 1 expansion. Line 1 extension. The fact that the existing line did not run into Birmingham City Centre was identified as one of the reasons why it failed to attract the predicted patronage. The Birmingham City Centre extension has extended Line 1 into the streets of central Birmingham. Originally it was planned to terminate the extension at Stevenson Street, adjacent to New Street railway station. In September 2013, Centro started consultation on proposals to extend the city centre extension from New Street Station to Centenary Square. This would be another stage towards extending the line to 5 ways, the original planned destination. The plan was approved by Birmingham City Council in October, allowing the line to add an additional stop at Birmingham Town Hall. The extension diverges from the previous line between Snow Hill and St Paul's stops. A viaduct has been constructed that carries the line into the streets. The existing terminus at Snow Hill has been closed, which has allowed a fourth platform at Snow Hill to be reinstated for railway use. It was replaced by a new stop further west near Snow Hill Station's second entrance on Livery Street, allowing continued interchange with National Rail services. From Snow Hill the tramway runs along Connemore Circus, Upper Bull Street, Corporation Street and Stevenson Street, with 3 stops. The second phase of the extension to Centenary Square will then run from Stevenson Street along Pinfold Street, turning into Victoria Square, where a new stop will be located alongside the Town Hall. It will then run along Paradise Street to Paradise Circus, then turn onto Broad Street, where it will continue to its terminus on Centenary Square. An order authorizing the BCCE was made in July 2005. Government approval was given on the 16th of February 2012 for the extension, a new fleet of trams and a new depot at Wednesbury. The sanctioned sum is £128 million, of which £75.4 million will be provided by the Department for Transport. The first new tram is scheduled to come into service on the existing line in February 2014, while the enlarged depot will be available in August 2013. The extension as far as New Street Station and the full new tram fleet were scheduled to be in service from March 2015, with the further extension to Centenary Square in operation from 2017. On the 14th of June 2012, works on the extension officially began. Initial works include the relocation of underground services on Bull Street and Corporation Street. The first section of the extension to Bull Street tram stop was opened on the 6th of December 2015. The rest of the extension to New Street was due to open on the 22nd of May 2016, but this was delayed to allow further track alignment work. The extension eventually opened on the 30th of May 2016, with revisions to the timetable. The track extends past the New Street Station tram stop almost to the junction with Pinfold Street, providing a spur to allow trams arriving from the Wolverhampton direction to reverse and switch to the opposite track for the return journey. The stated aim of Line 1 has always been to terminate at 5 ways. On the 6th of July 2014, it was announced that the LEP would supply over 88% of the funding needed for the Edgbaston extension to the new terminus on the south side of Hagley Road adjacent to the 54 Hagley Road office building, all but guaranteeing its implementation after 2015. However, there is a possibility that at the stop at 5 Ways Island it will head southeast down Leebank Middleway, then south down Pershaw Road as it resurfaces from the tunnel, then a stop place outside the Warwickshire County Cricket Club, and then divert onto Bristol Road with a stop situated near University of Birmingham and the Queen Elizabeth II Hospital. But these plans have been put on the back burner due to a lack of funding. Previously, Birmingham City Council looked at the possibility of constructing an underground railway. Mike Whitby, leader of the council from 2004, at one stage spoke in favour of an underground railway, which he claimed would be faster and much cheaper to operate. In February 2005, Liberal Democrat councillor Paul Tilsley, who became deputy leader of the council later that year, stated that a proper underground was needed, and that people would not stand for the mayhem that building a street tramway would cause. The council commissioned Jacobs Engineering and Deloitte to look into the feasibility of underground trams, but in June 2005 the Birmingham Post reported that tunnelling would be unaffordable and not meet government funding criteria. Mr. Whitby stated that he would challenge the way the studies had been carried out, but the eventual outcome was acceptance of a street tramway. By September 2008, the council's interest had shifted from the full BCCE to a shortened version between New Street and Snow Hill stations, which do not have connecting trains. Line 1 Wolverhampton City Centre Loop, an extension from the existing terminus in Wolverhampton running through Market Street and Lichfield Street, and then serving Wolverhampton Bus Station and Wolverhampton Railway Station. Part of the Phase 2 extensions was made a separate project following stagnation of the project to build a line to Walsall. It was to take the form of a mainly single-track loop and spur extension to Line 1, with an estimated cost of £30 million. By July 2009, the loop had gained funding preference over the Stour Bridge route via Dudley and Brierley Hill, and a leaflet gave basic details of the proposal. Centro hoped to complete the scheme by 2014, but in May 2010 Wolverhampton councillor Paddy Bradley stated it was on the back burner, although the 2009 leaflet included a route plan and stops. Centro's spokesman Steve Swingler said, "We expect to announce the preferred route later in the summer." The plan entailed southbound trams from Wolverhampton first going around the city centre to the railway station. In July 2010, Centro Director General Jeff Inskip hinted that the scheme would be reworked by taking it to places people need to go, such as the university, and not taking passengers to the railway station and back if they don't actually need to go there. The reworked scheme, costing £50 million instead of £30 million, might be routed over part of the ring road. In 2012, Centro announced that they would be pressing ahead with a cut-down version of the original scheme, which they hoped would take place before 2015. The cut-down version would create a branch running from the existing terminus at St. George's, connecting the bus and rail stations, with the creation of a loop through Market Street and Lichfield Street happening at a later date. In March 2014, it was announced that the Wolverhampton extension would go ahead as part of a £2 billion connectivity package. The new line would see 2 new stops built at Pipers Row and Wolverhampton Railway Station, which will see trams terminate alternately at the rail station and at the existing St. George's stop. The new stops will be constructed between 2015 and 2019. Though the extension to Wolverhampton Railway Station has been said to be completed by the end of 2015. The Transport and Works Act order was approved by Secretary of State Patrick McLaughlin in 2016. Line 2 East Side extension in November 2013. Birmingham City Council leader Albert Bohr announced that a task group was considering the construction of a second metro line from Birmingham City Centre, along Paisley Street to Birmingham Airport and terminating at Coventry. Simultaneously, Centro released a proposed map of the route, taking in a loop between the interchange at the airport, Small Heath and Lee Hall. The line would spread the benefits of integrated transport beyond the centre of Birmingham and was part of a wider initiative to better connect both cities to the proposed high-speed 2 interchange at Curzon Street. In February 2014, it was announced that funding had been secured for the first phase of Midland Metro's Line 2 extension to East Side, including 3 new stops at either Moore Street or Albert Street, and Curzon Street, before a terminus at Adderley Street. Centro are currently undertaking public consultation of 2 proposed routes, with both proposals aiming to join the existing Line 1 at a junction between Bull Street and Corporation Street. The main aim of the consultation is to establish whether commuters would prefer a shorter, and therefore quicker, route through to Curzon Street from New Street, or if a slightly longer route with a tram stop directly outside Moore Street would be more agreeable. If the latter option were favoured, it would mark the achievement of what has long been regarded as a major aim for the Metro, namely to connect all 3 city centre stations by rapid transit. Any extension would have to be completed before the projected commencement of high-speed 2 services in 2026. Present confirmed expansion plans. The extension projects with confirmed funding will produce a network as follows. Rolling stock. The Midland Metro is operated by a fleet of 21 Urbos 3 trams, constructed by the Spanish manufacturer CAF. The present fleet was introduced into service during 2014-15, replacing the original fleet of 16 Italian-built Ansel de Breda T69 trams. In February 2012, Centro announced that it was planning a £44.20 million replacement of the entire tram fleet. CAF was named preferred bidder for 19 to 25 Urbos 3 trams. A £40 million order for 20 was signed, with options for 5 more. The new fleet provides an increased service of 10 trams per hour in each direction, with an increased capacity of 210 passengers per tram, compared with the 156 passengers on the former T69 trams. The Urbo's 3 trams are 33 metres long, 9 metres longer than the former T69 stock, and have a maximum operating speed of 70 km per hour. The first of the new trams was unveiled at the Wednesbury depot in October 2013, with the first 4 entering service on 5 September 2014. They replaced all of the T69s in August 2015. 4 T69s have been transferred to the Tram Test Centre at Long Marston in October 2014. Extension proposals. Wednesbury, Merry Hill extension from Line 1 in Wednesbury. The Brierley Hill extension would follow the disused South Staffordshire line, through Tipton to the vicinity of the former Dudley Town Station, then on street into Dudley Town Centre. It would leave Dudley alongside the southern bypass to access the railway corridor, leaving it at the approach to the waterfront, Merry Hill area and Brierley Hill, and then on to Stour Bridge. Centro has stated that the WBHE would provide 10 trams per hour, alternately serving Wolverhampton and Birmingham. Journey time from Brierley Hill to West Bromwich was stated as 31 minutes. However, these plans have been complicated by the desire of Network Rail to reopen the South Staffordshire line for the use of freight trains, which last used the route in 1993. Various proposals have been put forward as to how trams and freight trains could coexist on the same corridor. Early proposals involved trams and freight trains using different tracks, but since 2008 Centro has favoured the use of tram trains, which can share the tracks with freight trains. In October 2010, the Black Country Joint Core Strategy cast doubt on implementation of the WBHE, claiming it may not be delivered by 2026. In March 2011, the business plan for the reopening of the South Staffordshire line between Walsall and Stour Bridge for the Midland Metro was submitted to Network Rail. Trams would share the line with freight trains, and a decision from Network Rail on the scheme between Stour Bridge and Walsall was due in the summer. In December 2012, Centro stated that they intended to build the line in phases to make the scheme more affordable, with the first stretch running from Wednesbury to Dudley. No time scale has been put on the latest plans. Sprint. In July 2014, it was announced that a new BRT bus tram service named Sprint would be introduced on the Hagley Road, from which it would connect with the western end of Midland Metro's Line 1 extension. Viewed as Metro's little sister, Sprint is intended to offer a higher level of service quality than standard bus services, and will feature some bus priority measures, like bus lanes and priority signalling to speed up service. Sprint should grow demand and improve connectivity in areas which do not yet fully justify metro access. Centro themselves have stated that the new Birmingham Quinton route was chosen primarily for its potential for economic growth. The route will have 16 stops. If the Quinton line is successful, there are plans to expand Sprint by running a service down the Coventry Road to the airport, connecting with the existing Sprint service in the city, thereby providing a cross-city connection which is currently not offered by bus or metro. Historic planned extensions. In 2004, the proposed Phase 2 expansion included 5 routes: Birmingham City Centre to Great Bar, a 10 km, 17-stop route from the city centre through Lancaster Circus and along the A34 corridor to the Birmingham-Walsall boundary, terminating near the M6 motorway junction 7. Birmingham City Centre to Quintin, a 7.5 km route from the BCCE terminus at 5 ways along the Hagley Road to Quintin. Wolverhampton City Centre to Wednesfield, Willenhall, Walsall and Wednesbury. This 20.4 km, 5 Ws route would connect Wolverhampton City Centre to Wednesfield, Willenhall, Walsall and Wednesbury, and provide direct access to New Cross and Manor hospitals, partially using the trackbed of the former Wolverhampton and Walsall Railway. This link was officially declared dead in the Express.It Star on October 23, 2015. Birmingham City Centre to Birmingham Airport, a 14 km route from Birmingham Airport, National Exhibition Centre and serving suburbs along the A45 road. Journey time from central Birmingham to the airport was estimated at 29 minutes. This proposal has now been incorporated into the proposals for Line 2. In September 2010, the Birmingham Post reported that a £425 million rapid transit system between Birmingham City Centre and the airport could involve new light rail scheme. Centro Strategy Director Alex Burrows stated, "The Birmingham City Centre to Birmingham Airport Rapid Transit Plan will deliver connectivity between the city centre, Birmingham Business Park and Chelmsley Wood.